I am standing in my own office when I realize I don't exist here anymore. The glass wall in front of me reflects 3 people. Only 2 of them belong. Caleb's hands are on her waist. Ava's mouth is on his. And the city behind them, my city, my skyline, keeps glowing like nothing has just broken. For one suspended second, no one notices me. Then Ava opens her eyes. She sees me. And the panic that flashes across her face tells me everything I don't yet understand. If you've ever trusted someone enough to hand them your future, don't look away now. This is the moment people like to believe won't happen to them. I don't scream. I don't drop the cake. I don't even blink. Because my brain is still trying to solve the wrong problem. 12 hours earlier, I am on a plane over the Pacific, exhausted and smiling for no reason. My hands shake slightly as I balance a small bakery box on my lap, the cardboard warm from being held too tightly. Chocolate ganache. His favorite. I imagine his face when he sees it, the way his voice softens when he's caught off guard. It's his birthday. I didn't tell him I was coming. I wanted the surprise to be perfect. I tell myself this is what love is supposed to feel like, sacrifice without resentment, distance without doubt. I tell myself I'm lucky. I tell myself most people never get this kind of certainty. I close my eyes and let the engine noise swallow the last edge of fear. I have no idea I am flying directly into a celebration that has nothing to do with me. The office building is lit up when I arrive. That should have stopped me. Midnight has passed, the streets are empty, and ambition should be asleep. Instead, the top floors glow like a promise that refused to wait for morning. I park without thinking. I don't go home. I come here. My company. My dream. The place I built from nothing while everyone told me to be realistic. The lobby is silent. My access card still works, mine still works, and the doors open with the same obedient click they always have. The elevator ride is too quiet. I watch my reflection in the mirrored walls. I look tired. Happy. Like someone who still believes in timing. When the doors slide open, I hear laughter. Not loud. Close. Intimate. I recognize it before I recognize why my stomach tightens. I walk down the hallway, heels soft against polished floors, the bakery box cradled in my arms like proof that I belong here. The executive office door is open. The glass walls glow with city light. I step inside. The room smells like cologne and heat. Caleb is sitting on my desk. My desk. The one with the scratch on the corner from the night I stayed until dawn rewriting a pitch deck that saved the company. His jacket is draped over the chair like a claim. Ava stands between his legs. Her hands are in his hair. His mouth moves along her neck. No music. No shouting. Just the quiet efficiency of something that has happened before. For a heartbeat, my mind tries to soften it. A misunderstanding. A moment. Something I walked in on halfway through that will make sense in reverse. Then Ava opens her eyes. She freezes. Her fingers tighten instinctively, like she wants to hold on to something before it disappears. She doesn't look ashamed. She doesn't look guilty. She looks caught. And that is the exact second my body understands before my heart does. This wasn't an accident. Caleb turns. My name leaves his mouth like he's testing whether it still works. I don't answer. I set the cake down on the conference table. Carefully. The absurdity of the gesture almost makes me laugh. Chocolate ganache. Candles still taped to the lid. A surprise with nowhere to go. I look at them one last time. At how natural they look in my space. At how comfortable. Then I turn and walk out. My heels echo down the hallway, each step clean and measured, like I'm leaving a meeting that ran longer than expected. Behind me, Caleb calls my name again. He doesn't follow. That hurts more than anything else. If you think you'd react differently, ask yourself this: would you chase someone you never expected to lose? If not, stay with me, because this is where the damage actually starts. The elevator doors close. My reflection fractures across the metal walls, doubled and warped, like the building itself can't decide who I am anymore. Outside, the cold air hits my face and finally something shifts. I stand on the steps of my own building and breathe in deeply. Too deeply. Something is wrong. Not just the betrayal. The timing. The fact that the lights were on. The way Ava looked at me, not shocked, not remorseful, but startled, like I had walked into a scene meant for someone else. This wasn't impulse. This wasn't temptation. This was scheduled. I sit in my car and grip the steering wheel until my knuckles ache. The city slides past in streaks of light as one thought settles in with terrifying clarity. I wasn't supposed to come back tonight. I was supposed to stay in Seoul. And whoever was meant to walk into that office instead of me. They were already celebrating. I keep walking. That's the strange part. Not the silence. Not the way my chest feels hollowed out, like something vital was removed without anesthesia. It's the fact that my body knows exactly what to do even while my mind refuses to catch up. I walk past the elevator bank. Past the framed photos lining the corridor, launch parties, smiling teams, champagne raised under banners with my company's name printed in bold letters. I don't stop. I don't slow down. I don't look. The building is quiet again, as if nothing happened. Behind me, somewhere above, a door closes. My phone vibrates in my hand. Once. Then again. Caleb. I don't answer. The third vibration is longer, impatient. I imagine him standing in the office, jacket still off, Ava hovering just out of reach, both of them waiting for me to come back and say something loud enough to turn this into a fight instead of a fact. I don't give them that. The elevator doors slide open and I step inside. As they close, my phone lights up again. A call. Then another. He's talking now. Explaining. Trying to get ahead of the story before it finishes writing itself. I watch the numbers tick down in silence. When the doors open in the lobby, I'm already outside myself. The night air feels sharper than it did minutes ago. I cross the street without looking, heels clicking against concrete, my reflection flashing in darkened windows as I pass. The city doesn't ask questions. It never does. It just keeps moving. My phone vibrates again. This time, a text. Please don't do this. We can talk. I almost laugh. Talk. As if language can rearrange what I saw. As if explanations still have value when timing lines up too neatly to be coincidence. I slide into my car and sit there, hands resting on the wheel, engine off. The dashboard clock blinks 12:47 a.m. That's when the numbness cracks just enough for memory to seep in. 6 months ago, I hand him the title. CEO. I remember the way Caleb's eyes widen, not with pride, but with calculation he masks quickly behind a smile. I tell myself I'm imagining it. I tell myself trust looks like this. I tell myself partnership means sharing control. The boardroom smells like coffee and dry erase markers that day. Papers spread across the table, projections glowing on the screen. He reaches for my hand under the table, squeezes once. You built this, he says. I'll protect it. I believe him. I sign. Another memory surfaces, uninvited. Ava sitting on my couch, legs tucked beneath her, wineglass balanced in her hand as she listens to me talk about expansion timelines and late-night calls with investors overseas. You're glowing, she says. I've never seen you like this. And I laugh, because she's right. I feel unstoppable. Loved. Supported on all sides. I don't notice the questions she asks. How often Caleb is alone in the office? Who handles which accounts? Whether my access levels have changed yet. At the time, it feels like interest. Now, it feels like inventory. The engine hums to life beneath my palms. I drive without a destination, letting streets blur together until the city feels unfamiliar, like I've crossed into a version of it that was waiting for me all along. My phone lights up again. A voicemail. I don't listen. I don't need to hear his voice to know the shape of his words. I've heard them before, in boardrooms and bedrooms, always smooth, always confident, always positioned just far enough ahead of the truth to stay useful. Another memory breaks through. A late night, months back. I come into the office unexpectedly, earlier than planned, and find Ava at my desk, flipping through a folder. "Oh," she says, smiling too quickly. "Caleb asked me to grab something for him." I apologize for interrupting. The humiliation of it burns now, delayed but sharp. How easily I gave ground. How often I stepped aside without realizing I was being moved. The signs weren't subtle. They were just inconvenient. And I loved him enough to ignore anything that threatened the story I wanted to live inside. At a red light, I finally glance at my phone. 3 missed calls. 8 texts. The last one reads, "This isn't what it looks like." I exhale slowly, counting to 4, then 6. Of course it's what it looks like. But it's also something else. Something colder. Something designed. The office. The hour. The fact that Ava froze before Caleb even turned around. She knew. She knew I wasn't supposed to see that. Which means someone else was. I picture the scene again, not the bodies, but the room. The lights. The way the city framed them like a backdrop chosen in advance. I think about the timing of the board vote last week. The investor call that was moved without my input. The email I didn't read because I trusted him to handle it. My chest tightens as the shape of it comes into focus. Love wasn't the point. Love was the distraction. The light turns green. I drive. I don't know where I'm going until I'm already there, a narrow street lined with low-lit storefronts and quiet bars that don't advertise themselves. The kind of places people end up when they don't want to be recognized. I park and sit there for a moment, engine idling, phone face down in the cup holder. The thought arrives fully formed, calm and absolute. I can't go home like this. Home still smells like him. Like plans. Like promises that were already expired when I believed in them. If you've ever had your entire life rearranged without your consent, you know this moment, the one where staying still feels more dangerous than moving forward. Stay with me. This is where the collapse stops being theoretical. I open the car door. The bar sign hums softly above the entrance, neon bleeding into the dark. I pause with my hand on the handle, breath shallow, mind racing with fragments that refuse to assemble into something stable. Inside, there will be noise. Heat. Liquor strong enough to drown thought. Right now, that feels like survival. I step forward. And let the door close behind me. The bar doesn't announce itself. No music spills onto the sidewalk. No laughter leaks through the door. Just a narrow entrance, a dim amber glow, and the low hum of something expensive and controlled. I step inside and the door closes behind me with a soft, final click. The air smells like citrus peel and old wood. Polished. Intentional. The kind of place where nothing is accidental and everything is watched. A long counter stretches along one wall, bottles arranged with surgical precision. A handful of people sit scattered in shadows, each absorbed in their own silence. No one looks up. That suits me. I slide onto a stool and don't bother reading the menu. Something strong, I say. The bartender doesn't ask questions. He pours. The glass is cold against my palm. The first sip burns all the way down, a clean, punishing line of heat that reminds me I'm still here. I drink again. Slower this time. Then again, faster. The thoughts don't stop, but they blur. Edges soften. Images lose their sharpness. The office. Ava's eyes. Caleb's voice saying my name like it's still his. If you've ever wanted to disappear without dying, you know this rhythm. One drink to quiet the noise. Another to keep it down. Another because stopping feels worse than continuing. I lose count. The bar grows warmer. Or maybe that's me. Time stretches, then collapses. Conversations start and end without me hearing a word. Glasses appear and empty. My reflection wavers in the mirror behind the bar, features smudged, eyes too bright. That's when I feel it. Not a stare. Awareness. I turn my head slightly and see him. He's sitting alone in a corner booth, posture relaxed, hands resting on the table like he has nowhere else to be. Dark coat. Sharp lines. His presence bends the space around him without effort, like gravity doing what gravity does. He isn't looking at me the way men usually do. There's no hunger there. No curiosity dressed up as charm. He's watching like someone assessing a situation, not a woman. It unsettles me more than a leer would have. I lift my glass in his direction in a loose, careless gesture. A challenge. Or maybe a dismissal. He doesn't respond. The bartender sets another drink in front of me. I don't remember asking for it. I drink it anyway. The room tilts gently. My phone vibrates in my bag once, twice, but I don't reach for it. The thought of seeing Caleb's name makes my stomach turn. Or maybe that's the alcohol. I fumble with the zipper, finally pulling the phone out and squinting at the screen. Locked. The face recognition fails. My thumb slips off the sensor. I try again, then again, irritation spiking. The screen stays dark. I laugh softly at that. Of course. Even my phone has decided to stop recognizing me tonight. I drop it back into my bag and drain the glass. The edges of the room start to smear together. The bartender's face blurs. The lights stretch into glowing lines. My body feels heavy and strangely far away, like I'm watching myself from across the room. The man in the corner stands. I notice because everything else seems to slow down around him. He doesn't rush. He doesn't hesitate. He moves like time belongs to him. He stops a few steps away, just close enough for his voice to reach me without effort. You've had enough, he says. His English is smooth, accented just enough to be unmistakable. I smile, lazy and unfocused. I don't remember asking. No, he agrees calmly. You didn't. I try to stand and fail. The stool wobbles beneath me, balance gone, legs unreliable. For a moment, embarrassment flickers, hot and sharp, then dissolves into something like relief. I don't have the energy to perform anymore. The bartender looks between us, uncertain. She's with me, the man says quietly. It isn't a claim. It's a decision. If you're wondering why the bartender believes him without question, you already know the answer. Power doesn't announce itself. It just rearranges the room. I feel a hand steady my elbow. Strong. Controlled. He smells faintly of smoke and something clean underneath. Where am I going? I mumble. Somewhere safe, he replies. I laugh again, softer this time. That's optimistic. He doesn't argue. The night fractures. Moments drift in and out without order. Cool air on my face. The murmur of voices I don't understand. A door opening. Another closing. At some point, I'm aware of being carried, not slung over a shoulder, not handled roughly, but lifted with care that feels almost professional. My cheek presses briefly against fabric that's too expensive to be accidental. I try to say something. An objection. A name. Nothing comes out. Darkness rushes in, thick and complete. This is the last thing I remember, his voice, low and measured, saying something to someone else. Then nothing. When I wake up, the ceiling isn't mine. It's high and smooth, washed in soft morning light that filters through sheer curtains. For a moment, panic flares, bright and immediate, before confusion takes its place. I sit up slowly. The bed beneath me is wide and impossibly comfortable, sheets crisp and cool against my skin. The room smells faintly of fresh linen and citrus. A hotel room. A very expensive one. My head throbs in protest as memories line up out of order, refusing to assemble into a clean narrative. The bar. The drinks. The man in the corner. I look around quickly. No one else is here. No jacket draped over a chair. No shoes by the door. No sign that anyone stayed past the point of delivery. My phone sits on the bedside table, plugged in and charging. Unlocked. I pick it up with shaking hands. No new messages. No missed calls logged during the night. It's as if I stepped out of my own life and then back into it without leaving footprints. I swing my legs over the side of the bed, the plush carpet cool under my feet, and stand. My reflection in the mirror startles me, makeup smudged, hair tangled, eyes shadowed with exhaustion and something darker. I don't remember agreeing to anything. I don't remember giving my name. I don't remember where he went. All I know is this: for the first time since walking into my office, I am somewhere I didn't choose, and I am still alive. If that makes you uncomfortable, good. It should. Because this is the night I vanish from my own story. And the people who thought they erased me have no idea where I've gone. I reach for my coat, then stop. It isn't there. Neither is my bag. Only the clothes I slept in, neatly folded on the chair. Whoever brought me here didn't take what mattered. They just made sure I disappeared. Morning comes quietly. Too quietly. The hotel room feels sealed off from the rest of the world, insulated by thick curtains and moneyed silence. I stand at the window for a long moment, watching sunlight slide across buildings I don't recognize, trying to pin myself to something solid. Last night fractures into pieces that don't fit together yet. The bar. The man in the dark coat. The way the world went soft around the edges. I tell myself it doesn't matter. Whatever happened, I'm still me. I still have my company. My name is still on the door. That thought steadies me enough to move. I shower. I scrub my skin until it tingles, grounding myself in sensation, the sting of hot water, the bite of hotel soap that smells faintly like eucalyptus. I pull on yesterday's clothes, wrinkle-smoothed by steam and stubbornness. Control. That's what I need. By the time I step back onto the street, the city feels sharper, louder, less forgiving. Traffic snarls. People move with purpose, eyes forward, lives intact. I tell myself I'm one of them. The office building looks the same from the outside. That's what makes the next part hurt more. Glass catching the sun. Steel lines clean and familiar. My badge still clipped to my jacket like a talisman. For a second, relief washes through me, irrational, immediate. See? I think. Nothing has changed. The doors slide open. Sound hits me first. Laughter. Music. The pop of a cork. I slow to a stop just inside the lobby. There are people everywhere. Not my people. Not the small, sleep-deprived team that grew with me from borrowed desks and late-night ramen. These are strangers in tailored suits and bright dresses, champagne flutes raised, voices overlapping in easy celebration. A banner hangs near the reception desk. Congratulations. My company's logo sits beneath it. For a heartbeat, I can't make sense of what I'm seeing. My brain scrambles for an explanation that doesn't exist yet. Maybe it's a client event. Maybe I forgot something. Maybe. Someone bumps into me and laughs, apologizing without looking. I step further inside. Congratulations, a man I've never seen before says, raising his glass in my direction. What a win. I open my mouth. No sound comes out. If you've ever walked into your own life and realized it no longer belongs to you, don't look away. This is the part where reality stops asking permission. Caleb emerges from the crowd like he's been waiting. He looks rested. Confident. His jacket fits differently, like he's already adjusted to a new weight on his shoulders. Ava is nowhere in sight. For a moment, the room tilts. He smiles when he sees me, not surprised, not relieved. Just prepared. Hey, he says, as if we're meeting for coffee. You shouldn't be here. The words don't register immediately. What is this? I manage. He gestures vaguely around us. We closed yesterday. I thought you knew. Yesterday. The word lands with a dull, echoing thud. Closed. My hands curl into fists at my sides. Closed what? His smile tightens, just a fraction. The sale. The room goes quiet around me, not because the noise has stopped, but because my body can't process it fast enough to keep up. Sale, I repeat. Yes, he says gently. The company was acquired. Majority stake transferred. It's done. Yesterday. The same day I walked into my office. The same night I wasn't supposed to be here. Understanding creeps in slowly, like a tide that doesn't ask whether you're ready to drown. I move past him without asking permission. My heels strike marble as I cross the lobby, eyes scanning faces, screens, details. The banner. The unfamiliar logos now sharing space with mine. A slideshow playing near the elevators, press photos, handshakes, signatures captured mid-smile. A date flashes at the bottom of the screen. Yesterday's. I turn back to him. You did this without me, I say. Caleb exhales, almost weary. You were unreachable. Unreachable. The word twists something deep in my chest. I was on a plane, I say. You knew that. He shrugs, a small, helpless motion. Things moved fast. The board voted. The investors were ready. It was now or never. The board. I remember the email rescheduled at the last minute. The calendar invite that disappeared. The way Ava insisted I rest after my trip, told me she'd handle things here. I remember trusting them. Where's Ava? I ask. His jaw tightens. She's busy. Busy celebrating, I think. Busy standing somewhere else in this building pretending she didn't help carve me out of my own life. A sharp, cold realization slices through the fog. They didn't just betray me. They timed it. The office. The lights. The intimacy displayed where it would hurt the most. A distraction. A controlled explosion to keep me off the board, out of the room, unaware while signatures dried. Love wasn't collateral damage. Love was the bait. My vision blurs at the edges. I grip the back of a nearby chair to steady myself. The leather is cool beneath my fingers, grounding and unreal at the same time. You can't do this, I say, though my voice lacks conviction now. Caleb's expression shifts, not cruel, not kind. Final. It's already done, he says. Legally, you no longer have authority here. As if summoned by the words, 2 security guards appear at his side. They don't look at me. They don't need to. Please escort her out, Caleb says, tone polite. Professional. Her. Not my name. Not the woman who built this place. Just a problem to be removed. The guards step forward. I don't resist. What would be the point? As they guide me toward the doors, the celebration swells behind us. Glasses clink. Someone laughs loudly at a joke I'll never hear. No one meets my eyes as I pass. The doors open. Cold air rushes in. And just like that, I'm outside. The doors close behind me with a soft, definitive sound. I stand on the steps, stunned, the building towering above me like it always has, except now it feels indifferent. As if it has already forgotten me. My phone buzzes in my pocket. A message from Caleb. This didn't have to be ugly. I stare at the screen until the words blur. Ugly. I think of Ava's face last night. The panic. The calculation. The certainty that I wasn't part of the equation anymore. I think of the hotel room. The missing hours. The way my life slipped sideways while I was unconscious. This wasn't a series of bad choices. It was a strategy. If you're still here, ask yourself something uncomfortable. How many times have you trusted the wrong silence? The answer doesn't matter yet. What matters is this. I have nothing left. No company. No position. No safety net. Whatever I thought I was protecting by loving him is gone. I take one last look at the building. Then I turn away. Because when there's nothing left to lose, the rules change. And I'm about to find out how far they're willing to go, now that they think I'm finished. The city keeps going. That's the first thing I notice. Cars pass. People laugh somewhere behind tinted windows. Traffic lights change with mechanical patience. Nothing pauses just because I've been removed from my own life. I walk without direction. My heels hurt. My head aches. The weight in my chest feels structural now, like a load-bearing wall has collapsed and everything above it is unstable. I don't remember deciding to drink again. I only remember sitting at another bar, different from the last, louder this time. Neon instead of amber. Cheap music. Cheaper liquor. The kind of place where pain doesn't stand out because it's everywhere. I order whatever's closest. Then another. Then something I don't recognize but swallow anyway. The burn doesn't calm me this time. It sharpens the edges. Every thought comes back louder, meaner, armed with evidence. Caleb's voice in the lobby. Ava's panic in the office. The banner hanging where my name used to matter. I imagine smashing a glass against a wall. I imagine his face when he realizes I'm not gone quietly. I imagine her trying to explain herself and finding no language sharp enough to cut through what she did. The images stack on top of each other until they blur. If you've ever stood at the edge of yourself and wondered which direction hurts less, stay with me. This is where the questions stop sounding abstract. I leave the bar when the noise becomes unbearable. Outside, the air is cold and wet, the pavement slick with recent rain. My reflection stretches and breaks in dark windows as I pass, a stranger walking inside my body. I reach my car and fumble for the door handle. That's when hands grab me from behind. Hard. Fast. Efficient. I stumble, balance gone, heart slamming into my ribs as someone yanks my bag off my shoulder. Another set of hands pats my pockets, rough and impersonal, like I'm furniture being searched. Hey, I start. A sharp shove cuts the word off. I hit the side of the car, breath knocked out of me in a thin, humiliating gasp. By the time I straighten, they're already gone, footsteps fading into the night. My bag. My phone. My wallet. Everything that said I existed outside my own head. I stand there shaking, palms pressed against cold metal, rain beginning to soak through my sleeves. No one stops. No one asks if I'm okay. The city keeps going. Something inside me gives way, not loudly, not dramatically. Just a clean internal snap, like a cord finally pulled too tight. I slide down the side of the car and sit on the pavement. There's nothing left to protect. The company is gone. The relationship was a lie. My best friend helped pull the lever. And now even the small things, my phone, my ID, the last proof that I belong somewhere, are gone too. I feel stupid for thinking love was enough. For believing loyalty was reciprocal. For assuming the world would pause long enough for me to catch my breath. A thought surfaces, calm and unwelcome. I could stop this. Not fix it. Just stop it. No more rooms I don't belong in. No more buildings that forget me. No more celebrations happening without my consent. The idea doesn't feel dramatic. It feels practical. I stand slowly, joints stiff, movements distant, like I'm operating machinery from another room. My reflection in the car window looks pale, eyes hollowed out, mouth set in a line I don't recognize. Rage flickers briefly, hot and sharp. I think of Caleb's face when the guards escorted me out. I think of Ava freezing, calculating, choosing herself. For a moment, the thought of taking them with me flashes bright and dangerous. Then it fades. I'm too tired for vengeance. Too empty for justice. What remains is quiet. Detachment. A sense of being done. I start walking again. The street ahead is wide and poorly lit, traffic moving steadily in both directions. Headlights smear into long white lines against the wet asphalt. I step off the curb. I don't check for cars. I don't hesitate. There's a strange peace in that, the surrender. The relief of not weighing outcomes anymore. If you're still listening, understand this isn't drama. This is what happens when every anchor is cut at once. I take another step. The sound comes first. A horn. Sharp. Urgent. Too close. I look up just as light fills my vision. There's no fear. Just surprise. Impact. The world collapses inward, sound folding into itself, sensation vanishing mid-thought. Darkness rushes in, not soft, not slow, but absolute. And for the first time since walking into my office the night before, everything stops. The first thing I feel is weight. Not pain, pressure. A steady heaviness across my chest, like something anchoring me to the bed. My eyes flutter open against harsh white light, and instinctively I try to move. I can't. Panic spikes, sharp and immediate, but my body responds sluggishly, drugged and distant. Machines hum nearby, their rhythm steady, indifferent. The air smells like antiseptic and plastic and something faintly metallic. A hospital. The memory arrives in pieces, jagged and incomplete. Rain. Headlights. The sound of a horn tearing through the night. I turn my head slowly. He's sitting in a chair beside the bed. Not standing over me. Not hovering. Just waiting. Dark suit. No tie. Hands folded loosely in his lap like this is an appointment he arrived early for. His posture is relaxed, but there's nothing casual about him. He looks exactly as he did in the bar, contained, deliberate, unshaken by the environment around him. "You're awake," he says. His voice is calm. Not relieved. Not surprised. I swallow, throat dry. "Where?" "Denver General," he answers before I finish. "You've been unconscious for 2 days. 2 days." The number echoes hollowly. My fingers twitch, testing the limits of my body. Pain flares then dulls, managed by whatever is dripping into my veins. I force myself to focus on him instead. "Why are you here?" I ask. He considers the question, eyes steady on my face. "Because you tried to disappear," he says. "And you're bad at it." The words land harder than any accusation. Fear creeps in, slow and deliberate. I don't know his name. I don't know what he wants. I don't know how much he saw. I shift against the mattress, the movement weak but intentional. "If you're here too." "I'm not," he interrupts gently. That stops me. "I didn't bring you here to collect anything," he continues. "I didn't follow you for leverage. I didn't even expect to see you again." I study him closely now, searching for cracks. Predatory men announce themselves. They crowd space. They make demands early. He does none of that. "What happened that night?" I ask. He leans back slightly, as if giving the question room to breathe. "You drank too much," he says. "Your phone was locked. You couldn't tell me where to take you. I wasn't comfortable leaving you there." A pause. "So I didn't." The memory flickers, being lifted, carried, his voice issuing quiet instructions. No hands where they didn't belong. No pressure disguised as kindness. "You put me in a hotel," I say. "Yes." "And then you left." "Yes." "Why?" His gaze doesn't waver. "Because you weren't asking for help. You were escaping." Something tightens in my chest. "And now?" I ask. "Now you ran into traffic." The words are simple. Unadorned. They don't accuse, but they don't soften the truth either. "I notice patterns," he continues. "People who don't want to be seen usually disappear quietly. You didn't. You unraveled in public." I turn my face toward the ceiling, blinking hard. Shame presses in from all sides. "You don't know me," I say. "No," he agrees. "But I know what happened to you yesterday." That snaps my attention back to him. "What do you mean?" "The company," he says. The word punches the air out of my lungs. My fingers curl into the sheets. "How do you?" "You walked into a celebration that didn't include you," he continues calmly. "You were removed from a building you built. The sale finalized while you were distracted." My heart starts to race, each beat loud in my ears. "How long have you been following me?" I demand. He shakes his head once. "I haven't." "Then how?" "Because the kind of people who orchestrate that don't do it once," he says. They repeat the pattern. They leave tracks. A silence stretches between us. If you've ever realized a stranger understands your life better than the people closest to you, this is the moment your skin goes cold. "I'm not here to hurt you," he says. "And I'm not here to save you." Then why are you here? My voice cracks despite my effort to keep it steady. He leans forward slightly now, forearms resting on his thighs. Not invading my space, just close enough to be heard without raising his voice. Because someone tried to erase you, he says. And erasing people creates instability. I let out a shaky breath. You talk like this is business. For me, he says quietly, it usually is. The implication hangs there, heavy and dangerous. I study his face again. There's no cruelty in it. No pity either. Just focus. What do you want? I ask. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he asks his own question. Do you want them punished, he says, or do you want your life back? The words land differently than I expect. Punished feels small. Temporary. A flash of satisfaction that fades once the damage is done. My life. The company. The years. The version of myself that didn't step into traffic. I close my eyes briefly, exhaustion washing through me. When I open them, he's still there. Still waiting. I want everything they took, I say. For the first time, something changes in his expression. Not anger. Interest. That, he says after a moment, is a more complicated request. I swallow. I don't have anything left to lose. He stands slowly, smoothing the front of his jacket. That's what makes you visible, he says. He steps toward the door, then pauses, glancing back at me. My name is Jaemin, he adds. Think carefully about what you want next. The door closes softly behind him. I stare at the empty chair, heart pounding, mind racing. Outside, footsteps fade. Inside, one question remains, sharp and unavoidable. Do I want revenge? Or do I want to be restored? He returns at dusk. Not announced. Not hurried. The room is dimmer now, the hospital lights lowered to evening mode, shadows collecting in the corners like they're waiting for instructions. Jaemin takes the same chair beside the bed, the one you vacated hours ago, as if no time passed at all. I sit more upright this time. The pain is still there, dull, controlled, but my head is clearer. Clear enough to know that if I don't speak now, the window will close. You asked what I wanted, I say. He nods once, inviting but not pressing. So I'll tell you everything. I start at the beginning. Not the office, before that. The flight schedules I rearranged to make his birthday. The nights I stayed up translating contracts across time zones. The way I trusted Caleb with authority because love felt like proof. I tell him about Ava. The questions she asked that felt like concern. The access she requested that felt harmless. The way she knew which nights I'd be gone and which doors would be unlocked. I talk until my throat burns. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't react. He listens the way people do when they're assembling a map. When I finish, the room is quiet except for the machines keeping me tethered to the present. You made one mistake, he says finally. I brace myself. You assumed power rewards loyalty, he continues. It doesn't. It rewards leverage. The words don't sting. They clarify. I gave him everything, I say. No, he corrects gently. You gave him access. I let that settle. How did they do it? I ask. The timing. The speed. Because the sale was prepared long before the betrayal, he says. The betrayal was simply the cover. He explains without embellishment. How boards move when founders are absent. How votes are framed as emergencies. How trust is weaponized as urgency. Power, he says, is not loud. It is procedural. I close my eyes, scenes replaying with new context. Emails that seemed minor. Meetings rescheduled. Decisions made without me to save time. You weren't removed because you were weak, he adds. You were removed because you were inconvenient. Something in me straightens. And Ava? I ask. She was insurance, he says. Emotional leverage to keep you distracted. People underestimate how effective that is. I open my eyes. What do you want from me? I ask again, steadier now. He considers me for a long moment. I want nothing you don't choose. That surprises me. I don't trade in romance, he continues. And I don't own people. If I help you, it will be because your outcome aligns with mine. What outcome is that? Stability, he says. And correction. Correction. The word hums with possibility. He lays out the terms like he's discussing weather patterns. Patience. Silence. Control. No public reactions, he says. No emotional messages. No attempts to reclaim anything yet. You will let the story finish writing itself. What story? I ask. That you lost, he says. That you broke. That you disappeared. My jaw tightens. That's not true. It will be useful, he replies. I think of the lobby. The banner. The guard's hands guiding me out. The way people looked past me like I was already gone. What do? I ask, while they think that. You recover, he says. And you learn. Learn what? How power actually moves, he answers. Where it hides. Who it answers to when it thinks no one is watching. I hesitate. And if I don't like what I learn? Then you'll still be alive to choose something else, he says. Silence stretches between us, thick but not uncomfortable. If you're wondering why I don't say yes immediately, it's because agreement feels like surrender when you've been stripped once already. Trust is expensive. I'm not sure I can afford it again. What's the cost? I ask. Time, he says. And restraint. And you? I press. What do you get? A pause. Information, he says. And an opportunity to prevent a problem from growing. I search his face for ego, for hunger. I find neither. Just calculation and something quieter beneath it. Say I agree, I say. What happens first? He stands, pacing once toward the window, then back. The city glows below us, indifferent and precise. We don't strike immediately, he says. My chest tightens. They hurt me, I say. They took everything. Yes, he agrees. And they expect you to react. Anger would confirm their assessment. What assessment? That you're predictable. I swallow. Then what do we do? He stops beside the bed, close enough now that I can smell faint smoke on his jacket. First, he says, we let them believe they've won. The words land like a held breath released. A small, involuntary smile pulls at my mouth. Not joy. Recognition. They're celebrating, I say. Yes. They think I'm finished. Yes. And you want me to stay quiet. He meets my eyes. You're not staying quiet. You're becoming invisible. A thrill, sharp and dangerous, slides through me. What if they come after me again? I ask. They won't, he says. People who think they've won don't watch the exits. Another silence. This one charged. I think of the woman who walked into traffic because she couldn't see a way forward. I think of the woman in the office who set down a cake and left without a sound. I am not either of them anymore. I'll do it, I say. He nods once, decisive. Then we begin, he says. He moves toward the door, then stops. One more thing, he adds. From this moment on, nothing you feel can be public. Grief will be used against you. Rage will be baited. You will give them neither. And if I slip? I ask. Then we correct it, he says calmly. Together. The door opens. Before he leaves, he looks back at me one last time. Remember, he says, voice low and precise. First, we let them believe they've won. The door closes. I lie back against the pillows, heart steady, mind awake in a way it hasn't been in days. Outside, the city keeps moving. Inside, something sharp and patient takes shape. Recovery doesn't arrive with relief. It arrives with routine. Morning vitals. Afternoon walks down the same sterile corridor. Evening spent staring at a city I'm not supposed to belong to anymore. The doctors talk about healing like it's linear. My body disagrees, but it cooperates enough to pass their tests. Jaemin doesn't come every day. When he does, he never stays long. He brings no flowers. No reassurances. Just information, delivered with the same quiet precision he brings to everything else. A tablet slid across the tray table. A folder left by the window. Names spoken once, never repeated. This is not about speed, he tells me the first time I try to rush ahead. It's about position. So I slow down. I stop replaying the impact. I stop waking up with my hands clenched. I stop scanning the door like danger might walk in wearing familiar faces. Instead, I learn. The first thing I learn is how clean betrayal looks on paper. Caleb didn't steal in the way amateurs do. No obvious transfers. No sudden spikes. Everything moved through layers, consulting fees, strategic partnerships, advisory retainers paid to shell entities with respectable names. Jaemin's people don't explain this to me like a lesson. They show me. A flowchart appears on the tablet, lines branching and folding back into themselves. Money leaves one account, circles twice, returns wearing a different label. Influence, Jaemin says, standing at the foot of the bed. Not theft. Theft is emotional. Influence is quiet. I watch the lines converge on a familiar signature. My signature. I feel nothing. That surprises me. When I'm discharged, they don't send me home. Home is compromised. Instead, I'm placed somewhere temporary, neutral ground. A furnished apartment overlooking a river that doesn't care who I used to be. The building has cameras. The elevator requires 2 keys. The neighbors don't ask questions. I start walking every morning. Slow at first. Then longer. I relearn my body the way you relearn a city after getting lost, carefully, deliberately, noting which routes feel safe. At night, I read. Contracts. Meeting minutes. Archived emails pulled from servers I no longer have access to but apparently never lost. Jaemin's team is efficient. They don't speculate. They retrieve. Patterns emerge. Board votes scheduled when I'm out of the country. Legal language adjusted subtly, one word replaced, another removed. Clauses I approved without blinking because they looked standard. One of them isn't. It hides in plain sight. Ava's role takes longer to see. That hurts more than the rest. I don't want her to be clever. I want her to be careless. I want to find something impulsive, something emotional, something that makes her human again. Instead, I find planning. Emails sent from burner accounts. Calendar invites she created and forgot to include me on. Notes from meetings she attended in my place, presenting herself as my proxy long before she had the authority. She wasn't just involved. She was embedded. The realization settles slowly, heavy and complete. Love didn't blind me. Trust did. If you're listening and thinking this couldn't happen to you, understand this: betrayal doesn't start with malice. It starts with access. Weeks pass. My hair grows back its shape. The bruises fade. My sleep deepens into something real. The fog lifts. Control returns, not loudly, but fully. Jaemin meets me one evening in the apartment, setting a slim folder on the table between us. "You're ready for this," he says. Inside are documents flagged with careful annotations. Dates circled. Paragraphs highlighted. This clause, he continues, tapping the page once. You insisted on it early. Investor protection. Founder continuity. I read it again, slower this time. In the event of material misrepresentation by executive leadership. In the event of coercion or conflict of interest. In the event the founder is removed under false pretenses. My breath stills. It survived the sale? I ask. Yes. They didn't catch it? They dismissed it, he says. They assumed you were emotional when you added it. A sharp smile touches his mouth. They underestimated you. Something inside me locks into place. This isn't hope. It's geometry. The lines finally align. I spend the next days mapping consequences. Not revenge. Consequences. If the clause is triggered, the sale doesn't reverse immediately. It suspends. Investigations open. Money freezes. Reputations wobble. Caleb doesn't lose everything at once. He loses certainty. Ava doesn't get exposed publicly. She gets audited. Slow pressure. Controlled collapse. I don't imagine their faces anymore. I imagine timelines. You're not angry, Jamin observes one night. No, I say. I'm finished being surprised. That earns a nod. This is the right state, he says. Anger burns fast. Focus endures. The final piece comes unexpectedly. Buried in correspondence between Ava and a third party, someone neither of us recognized at first. A consultant with no public profile. Payments routed through a holding company tied to the acquiring firm. A conflict. A clear one. My pulse steadies as I read. This, I say quietly, undoes everything. Yes, Jamin agrees. But only if used correctly. I look up at him. They tried to erase me. And failed, he says. The city outside glows softly, reflected in the glass. For the first time since the night I walked into my office, I feel something close to satisfaction, not because of what I'll take from them, but because of what I've reclaimed. My name. My leverage. My future. The trap that took my life wasn't clever. It was incomplete. I close the folder. When do we move? I ask. He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he watches me for a long moment, measuring something that has nothing to do with contracts. Soon, he says. But not yet. I nod. Patience. Silence. Control. I've learned the rules now. And this time, I'm not walking into someone else's celebration. I'm building the ending. The plan is quiet. That's what makes it lethal. There are no raised voices, no dramatic gestures, no moment where someone slams a fist on the table and declares intent. Jamin treats the final arrangement the way surgeons treat incisions, precise, minimal, deliberate. We sit across from each other in a conference room that doesn't belong to either of us. Neutral glass. Neutral walls. A city reflected but never invited in. They believe the narrative has settled, he says. That's the window. What narrative? I ask, though I already know. He slides a tablet toward me. Headlines scroll past in tidy, forgettable fonts. Former founder steps down amid restructuring. New leadership ushers company into next phase. Sources say transition was amicable. Amicable. I feel nothing when I read it. No anger. No urge to correct the record. The lie has already done its work. They think I agreed, I say. They think you disappeared, Jamin replies. People prefer clean endings. And me? He looks up. They think you broke. A slow breath leaves my lungs. Good. The next day's move in rehearsal. Not practice, preparation. Jamin's people coordinate quietly with auditors who don't yet know what they're about to find. Legal notices are drafted but not sent. Calendars shift. Rooms are booked. The building is chosen carefully. Not a courtroom. Not a boardroom. My office. The same glass-walled executive suite where everything unraveled. It has to be there, I say. Yes, Jamin agrees. Places remember. He times it to an event Caleb can't refuse. An investor update. A milestone announcement. Cameras present but not intrusive. Enough witnesses to matter, not enough to control. They won't expect you, I say. They'll expect a proxy, he answers. Or a lawyer. Or silence. What about Ava? She'll be there, he says. She won't risk missing it. That thought tightened something in my chest, not pain, not anger. Just alignment. I picture her face when she sees me again. Not imagined shock. Not imagined regret. Just calculation failing in real time. The night before, I can't sleep. Not from nerves. From stillness. I stand at the window of the apartment, city lights rippling across the river below, and take inventory of myself the way I was taught to take inventory of a balance sheet. Breathing steady. Pulse even. Mind clear. This is not revenge. It's correction. If you've ever mistaken calm for weakness, you're not alone. They did too. Jaemin arrives in the morning dressed like a man attending a routine meeting. Dark suit. Clean lines. Nothing to remember him by. You don't need me inside, he says as we ride together. I know. I'll be visible, he adds. But not centered. That's fine. He glances at me once, assessing. If you hesitate. I won't. A nod. That's what I needed to hear. The car pulls up across the street. The building looks exactly the same. Glass catching light. Steel unbothered by memory. For a moment, the urge to laugh presses against my throat. How strange that places can stay intact while people are erased inside them. I step out. The air feels sharper here. Higher altitude. Or maybe that's just awareness. Jaemin adjusts his cuff, eyes scanning without appearing to. His presence rearranges space the way it always does, subtle, undeniable. They're inside, he says. 15 minutes until start. I nod. Across the street, people stream in with lanyards and confidence. Familiar faces pass without recognition. No one looks twice at me. That, too, is useful. Inside, the lobby hums with expectation. Champagne flutes line a table near the wall. Screens display my company's logo alongside another, newer one, their colors merged as if they always belonged together. I move through the crowd slowly. No one stops me. No one asks questions. It's remarkable how invisible you become once people decide you're finished. I catch fragments of conversation as I pass. Strong leadership, seamless transition, founder burnout. Founder burnout. I almost smile. If you're watching this unfold and thinking silence means surrender, remember this moment. Silence is only empty when there's nothing waiting behind it. The doors to the executive suite open. The room is brighter than I remember. Rearranged. Neutralized. My desk has been replaced. The scratch in the corner is gone. They've cleaned the space. As if erasing evidence. Caleb stands near the window, speaking to a cluster of investors. He looks comfortable. Grounded. Ava is nearby, laughing softly at something someone says, posture relaxed, hands folded like she belongs exactly where she's standing. For a second, I simply observe. This is the image they wanted me to miss. This is what I was never meant to see. I take another step forward. Still, no one notices. Then someone does. A pause ripples through a nearby conversation. Heads turn. The change is subtle at first, like a shift in air pressure, but it spreads quickly. Eyes land on me. Then hold. Caleb turns last. His smile falters, not dramatically, not yet. Just enough to tell me he didn't plan for this variable. Ava's face drains of color. There it is. Recognition without permission. The room quiets. Not completely. Not yet. But enough. I stop just inside the threshold, the glass walls framing us like a stage. This is where they erased me. This is where they celebrated. This is where it comes back. I meet Caleb's eyes. I don't smile. I don't speak. Not yet. Outside the glass, the city watches. Inside, something long postponed draws a breath. I step fully into the room. No one asks me why I'm there. That's the first shift. Questions would imply control. Silence means the room is already recalibrating around a problem it didn't expect. I take 3 steps forward and stop. Glass walls. City lights. Witnesses pretending not to stare. The executive suite hums with a low, uncertain tension, the sound of people recalculating risk in real time. Caleb clears his throat. He tries to smile. Everyone, he starts. I raise a hand. Not sharply. Not theatrically. Just enough. He stops. Dominance doesn't need volume. I won't take long, I say, voice steady, measured, impossible to interrupt without looking afraid. I know you're celebrating. A few heads turn. A few glances flick toward the exits. I don't look at Ava yet. I don't need to. She's already shrinking, posture folding inward as if she can reduce her footprint by thinking smaller thoughts. I came to listen, I continue. To understand how something I built could be sold without me. Caleb exhales, relief flickering. This, he thinks, is manageable. A public conversation. A performative olive branch. I'm glad you're here, he says. We were going to reach out. I tilt my head slightly. You did. Through security. A ripple moves through the room. Someone coughs. Caleb's smile tightens. I'm not here to argue, I say. Or to accuse. Ava finally looks at me. Her eyes plead before her mouth can decide on a lie. I'm here because I was told this transition was clean. Caleb nods quickly. It was. Then you won't mind if we verify, I say. The word lands softly. Verify. Behind me, the door opens. No announcement. No flourish. Jamin steps inside. The room responds before anyone names him. Conversations stop. Spines straighten. Something primal recognizes hierarchy without needing instruction. He doesn't stand beside me. He doesn't stand behind me. He takes a position slightly off to the side, visible but uncentered, like a blade placed carefully on a table to remind everyone it exists. This is a private meeting, someone near the back says, too late. Jamin doesn't look at them. My apologies, he says calmly, voice carrying without effort. I was invited. Caleb turns fully now. Understanding arrives in stages. First confusion. Then calculation. Then fear. Who are you? Caleb asks. Jamin smiles faintly. Someone who reads contracts carefully. I let that breathe. This won't take long, I repeat. I tap the screen of a tablet resting on the table. The display lights up. A document appears, familiar, unremarkable at first glance. Legal language. Paragraphs investors skimmed because they assumed someone else already had. This clause, I say, pointing once, was added during early funding. Founder continuity protection. Murmurs. Caleb steps closer. That clause is inactive. No, I reply. It's conditional. Jamin shifts his weight. Condition 1, he says, material misrepresentation by executive leadership. A second document replaces the first. Highlighted transfers. Dates. Shell entities. Condition 2, I add, conflict of interest. Another file appears. Emails. Ava's name surfaces like a bruise. Her mouth opens. No sound comes out. Caleb's face drains of color. This is, he begins. Documented, Jamin finishes. Auditable. And already submitted. Silence crashes into the room. Not confusion now. Recognition. The kind that arrives when the ground gives way beneath your feet and you realize you were never standing on anything solid. Caleb looks at me. Really looks. And in that moment, I watch the truth reassemble itself behind his eyes. The bar. The hospital. The timing. You, he says quietly. This is you. I don't deny it. I don't confirm it either. Vindication isn't loud. Ava finally finds her voice. We can explain. Jaemin turns to her for the first time. No, he says. You can answer questions. He gestures subtly. Two men in tailored suits appear at the door, badges visible now. Auditors. Not security. Worse. The room erupts into low chaos. Phones come out. Voices rise. Chairs scrape. Through it all, I remain still. This is not my storm. This is the weather correcting itself. Caleb takes a step toward me, panic breaking through professionalism. You planned this, he says. I meet his gaze. No, I reply. I survived it. That lands harder. He looks past me at Jaemin, then back again. You're behind this, he says, accusation trembling at the edges. Jaemin's smile is polite. I noticed her, he says. You underestimated her. The auditors begin asking questions. Names. Dates. Authorizations. Ava sits down hard, colorless. Caleb's phone vibrates in his hand. He looks at the screen. His shoulders sag. Accounts frozen. Transactions halted. The celebration unraveling thread by thread. I lean closer, voice low enough that only he can hear. You thought I was gone, I say. You thought silence meant defeat. I straighten. It meant preparation. He stares at me like he's seeing a stranger. That's because he is. The room is no longer theirs. It never was. Jaemin steps closer now, just enough for the others to feel the shift. This process will take time, he says evenly. There will be questions. Reviews. Corrections. He looks at me. This was the opening move. My pulse stays steady. What comes next? I ask. His eyes hold mine, sharp, approving, restrained. He leans in slightly. First, he says, voice low and certain, we let this finish. A beat. Then. This was only step one. The room continues collapsing behind us. I don't look back.